You want to swing wildly at the internet like you've got the new pill in your hand, but you keep getting dead battered. Find the movement you want with NordVPN. They are our protection against terrifying cyber threats and wide-battered geo-blocks. NordVPN will help you get through any rights restrictions so you can watch all the cricket you want. We aren't always happy the wickets were on. Sometimes we need a change. NordVPN can switch your virtual location so your IP address is ready to cash in. So if you need to get around the internet's rules, or I suppose in our case laws, select NordVPN. They can help you watch a game on a cheaper stream in another country. Give NordVPN the ball and let them penetrate all your vast internet issues. Because if you need a VPN, go Nord. Use nordvpn.com/Kimber to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan plus 4 additional months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You can also receive a 20-gigabyte daily data voucher. The link is in the show notes. Protect your computer like a big hitter is coming for you at nordvpn.com/KIMBER right now.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 33 of the Crickpicks podcast. I'm Behram, who you can find at DefMango on Twitter. With me, to my left, is Jarrod Kimber, who you can find literally everywhere. He's touching me right now. And with us also is Estelle Vasudevan, who you can find at Estelle_Vasudev, the number 1 on Twitter. And what we do in Crickpicks, if you haven't been here before as part of this podcast, what we try to do over here is we take any generic cricket category and we draft the top 5 for that category in a snake-style draft competition. So the pick order goes 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. And the topic for this particular episode of Crickpicks is best domestic T20 team names. Not franchise, Jarrod. Domestic.
Well, because what is a franchise? Because I think you and I slightly disagree, because I think some of these teams were franchises and you saw them as domestic. And so we ended up in the middle not being 100% sure.
I feel like a franchise team is a team which is a part of a bidding process in which an owner will kind of come and, say this one's mine or it's part of an auction.
Yeah.
And domestic teams back in the day were kind of run by the board in a way.
Do we want them? Come on, Estelle, you have to be involved here. Do we want franchise names or do we want domestic team names?
So I put together franchise names because that was the
Okay. I can get rid of a couple of my teams here. If you guys want to shit on the Otago Volts and the Middlesex Crusaders,
no, let's do everything.
That's on you.
Let's do.
Yeah, I thought let's just do domestic T20 team names because that gives us more teams to pick from.
Yeah.
No,
and there are some fantastic team names.
Well, now I've just said 2, so now I've already.
No, that's fine. You have last pick anyway. No, do you?
Yes.
I don't know what I.
I think you do. Yeah, you're last pick for this anyway. So
you're starting, aren't you?
You're going to miss out on all the good ones, Jarrod.
I don't think I will.
Yeah, and I have first pick. And my number 1 pick is, this might surprise some people, but I'm going to go San Francisco Unicorns. And why I feel like this is the best franchise or domestic T20 team name ever is because San Francisco is where the Silicon Valley is at. Yeah. So that is where all of the big tech money is made. And you have all of the massive firms like Apple and I'm pretty sure some other ones which I cannot think of right now. Google.
All of them.
Yeah, Google. And for those of you who don't know, a unicorn in business terms is a startup which is valued at 100 million? No, 1 billion USD.
Billion,
yeah, $1 billion US. That's what a unicorn is, which makes perfect sense with San Francisco. I don't like their trousers. I think their trousers are garbage.
This isn't a trouser disco, is it?
But as far as team names go, I think the San Francisco Unicorns completely nailed it.
They were on my list. They weren't number 1, but they were certainly on my list. I think it's very strong. I don't know. You've been around with my son the last couple of days.
Yeah.
He heard that name and instantly was like, that's a great name.
Yeah.
And I think essentially, I think as a franchise, what you want is you want to really annoy middle-aged men, right? Middle-aged straight men specifically. You want to annoy them. But you want a 9-year-old to be like, I want a unicorn shirt. Why would I not want a unicorn shirt? Also, my son's 10. I don't know why I said he was 9 just then, but say.
Combine a techie pun with a mythical creature.
Yeah.
What more could you possibly ask for from a team name?
I'm a big fan.
All right, Estelle.
Yeah, I think the MLC has a couple of good ones, and I'm going with one of the teams from the MLC as well. I'll go with the Seattle Orcas. I just think that in cricketing terms, it's kind of a unique thing, right? Because you get a lot of kings and stars and those type of teams all over
Super
the world.
Kings,
Gladiators.
Super Giants. What are
Special
Super
Kings,
Giants?
Super Giants.
Giants and Super Giants.
Yeah, so I feel like
I think what
they
you're
have some-
saying is,
yeah.
Estelle, there's a lot of team names that sound like cigarette companies.
Basically.
And say what you want about the Seattle Orcas, they do not sound like a cigarette company.
Yeah, just
And
for
Orcas
that
are
uniqueness.
dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a good design, right? Because once you name your team that, you've got the cool looking black and white whale to go with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it works on many different levels. So I'm a big fan of that. I mean, Seattle Killer Whales might have worked better.
Could get sued by SeaWorld.
Well, maybe not. I don't know if SeaWorld have any money from all their orca trouble.
Yeah.
All right. No, I think that's good. It's interesting we go with two major league teams. I'm going to go with one. I thought you might take this. You're going to have to explain this to me a little bit more. But
Okay.
Lahore Badshahs,
Ooh.
which I think is still,
Yeah.
because it sounds like, I think at the time I used to call them the Lahore Badass Motherfuckers because that's kind of what it sounds like. And I don't know what a Badshah is, but I like the ones that are sort of more
Indigenous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you'll notice that with my team as they come out. But I just also thought that just sounded like what a team from Lahore should be called. What is a Badshah?
It should be called that. Badshah means king. So rather than calling them the Karachi Kings, they could have called them the Karachi Badshahs.
That's
as
much
well.
better. So if it was king, I would hate it.
Yeah.
But Badshah is a better word than king, all things considered.
Also, I love that you've gone ICL.
Yeah.
First pick, you've gone rogue.
No, you said franchise. That's a franchise.
I mean, I'm for it. I actually forgot all about it. You know, I did not even consider ICL teams when I was doing my preparation, and now I feel bad about it. But I'm really happy you picked it up because I feel like all of these teams, especially all of the subcontinent teams who have the word Badshah in their vernacular, why would you call your team Kings if you can call them Badshahs?
Badshah is such a better. I'm talking here purely as a writer.
Yeah.
It's just a better word. Okay.
They're a pretty good team too.
Yeah, they were really good. So on that, I'm going to go my next pick. Yeah, my next one I'm going to have Antigua Hawksbills.
Okay.
So that was a CPL team that didn't last very long. I think they played for 1 or 2 years. But again, another name. I think it's a bird or a frog.
It has to be a bird, right?
Something like that from Antigua. But it was at a time when all the names just sounded the same. And like, the Big Bash came out with the Stars and the Thunder and all this sort of stuff. And you're like, yeah, okay, we get it. That I just thought the Antigua Hawksbill, it talked about, local culture in a much better way. I love the way it sounded. I was so upset when that team disappeared because I really, really did enjoy them a lot. So I'm going to go Antigua as my second pick.
It's an interesting one because you don't even know what a hawksbill is.
Yeah.
Not important.
I hadn't heard about it either.
The sound of it.
Yeah. No. I think they had a bird on their crest.
It has to be a bird. Let's just Google it.
Should we actually look it up on Hawksbill? It might be a turtle. Is it a turtle?
Is it a turtle?
No,
it's a bird.
That's a good-looking bird.
It is a pretty good-looking bird.
Hawksbills.
It's a pretty good-looking emblem as well.
That's what I mean. I just remembered that coming up. Oh, wait, it says here Hawksbill sea turtle.
Hawksbill sea turtle. Or maybe that was a turtle and it looked like a bird.
It's a turtle. Team.
Yeah.
I nailed it. Hawksbill,
Okay,
that is absolutely brilliant.
It is a pretty cool-looking turtle, so I'm going to give you that.
I will say this, though. When me and Behram looked it up, the logo could not have looked any more like a bird. So clearly someone went, we can't do a friggin' turtle design. Let's make it look like an eagle and no one's going to ask. No, Hawksbill, it sounds good. It sounds like it's from somewhere. It's not just a rip-off of them. Like a lot of the names are rip-off of American culture stuff. And a lot of the other names are like, they don't make any sense. This is something about that era. It's like, the Hobart Hurricanes. All right. Have you got a big hurricane problem in Hobart that I don't know about? Right? Do you know what I mean? Think about your name a little bit more. At least Brisbane Heat. So, okay, well, you stole it from Miami Heat, but it is hot in Brisbane. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Sorry to anyone who's going to go Brisbane Heat.
No, but that turtle is a really cool looking turtle. So I think you've redeemed yourself with this pick. Estelle, you're up next.
Yep. So I've got one from the Everest Premier League. Pokhara.
Oh my God.
Loving it.
Pokhara Rhinos. Again, I think
Rhinos.
because it's also relative. I mean, it's related to Nepali culture, right? Don't they have like a rhino on their?
Do they?
I think their national. I have no idea.
I don't know if Nepal has rhinos. KP should know. KP is always saving rhinos and stuff.
No, I
And
think they
Jarrod,
have
while he
it
was
in one
searching
of
for Nepal rhino,
either
Jarrod
in one
wrote
of their
down Nepal
logos or
Roni.
something. Anyway,
Yeah, no, you're right. They do.
regardless,
They do.
the rhino.
The Indian rhino is in Nepal. So yeah, I think you're right, and I think their Nepal cricket board logo is the rhino, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
I can't find it here, but the Pokhara Rhinos, yeah. So no, that's a really good one. I had forgotten about that league actually. So that's an excellent pick.
I love that, Estelle. I love that you've gone so deep into the T20 leagues and you've plucked one out from the Nepalese one. And I mean, who doesn't love rhinos, right?
Well, apparently all the people who poach them.
Okay, so I've got 2 picks now. And for pick number 2, I will go Multan Sultans. Again, it's similar to Badshahs. Sultan is also someone who rules over an area or land in the subcontinent historically, and also Arabia. I think actually it has Arabic roots, the word Sultan. And a lot of people, when the Multan franchise was suggested that they go with Multan Saints because it is the city of saints.
Ooh, I like that actually. That would have been cool too.
But Multan Sultans rhymes.
Yeah.
And the rhyming factor, I feel like, really wins it over here. And also it is an indigenous name, right? Mm-hmm. It's not Multan Kings.
No.
Yeah, or Multan Emperors or Gladiators.
I wonder if, we could ask Estelle how she feels. I almost feel the rhyming is too strong here.
I don't know.
Because it's the exact same syllables.
Yeah.
And so it does sound a little bit like the Multan. And my wife is obsessed with this name.
Okay.
It's the only PSL team she knows. And like, I don't know if you were there, you mentioned them outside the other day and she went, the Multan Sultan. so I don't know if that's a good thing or if she likes it ironically or not. So I think that one's on the border. Estelle, is it too much, the rhyming?
No, actually, I really like it. And I kind of wish I'd left the rhinos for later since neither one of you had it on your list and gone with Multan.
Yeah. I think it's my favorite PSL name. And I have a couple of other PSL names on my list as well. But I'm not going with one right now. Maybe they get picked up. My third pick is something which is the weirdest and funniest team name at the same time. Washington Freedom. Because it has the capital of America in it and the word freedom next to it. I feel like nothing speaks America more than, bald eagle, freedom, and give me one other thing. Apple pie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah, baseball. But the first time I heard the name Washington Freedom, I properly laughed out loud for 30 seconds. I remember doing that. And clearly the MLC is really popular in this particular draft. So I thought that one of you might take it, which is why I've gone for it right now.
Yeah, I didn't have it on my list.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one. I just so used to Americans. It's a bit like when Mumbai did Mumbai Indians. And at first I was like, that's ridiculous. Now looking back, I was like, it's probably the only name that they were ever going to go with.
Yeah.
And I think with Washington as well. And Washington has a history of really bad names of their sporting teams. I don't know if you know about this. So the Washington Bullets was the basketball team.
Okay.
And so they had to change that because of all the shootings in America. And they changed it to the Washington Wizards. Nothing says basketball like Wizards. Nothing says Washington like Wizards. And then they had the racist name for their football team, which they had to change as well recently after years of not. So they've actually got a history of really bad names. So I had Washington Freedom and I was like, okay, fair. But I don't know if I see it as great or bad. But it's not a bad pick. I give you that.
Yeah, that team needs a bit of freedom, no? Do you remember the American meme? They're like, they look at a country and they're like, I think that place needs some freedom.
Yeah.
So it was just really funny to me in that regard. But yeah, I had to.
It might be good for headlines in the years to come of, Ben Dunk, thinks his freedom. Those sorts of things. I don't know why I went Ben Dunk. He's now the thing.
The MLC is free. Washington has won. But yeah, no, I just love that name. And those are the only two I had actually from the MLC, which are now taken by me. So very, very content with the way this draft is going for Behram. And now it's back to you, Estelle, for your third pick, I believe.
Yep. So since we haven't gone with anything from Sri Lanka, let me pick one from the SLPL, which I think Jarrod will be a bit familiar with. The Naga Nagas. Actually, I don't know how
Ooh,
the second
I
word
love
is
it.
pronounced, because it's meant to means like snakes or vipers, but Nagas is also like a colloquial term for younger sister or younger sisters.
Ooh,
But I like that
interesting.
name because it's something that's stuck in everyone's heads. I think from the time they had the SLPL, which is like more than 10 years ago, right? It's one that is easy
Yeah.
to remember. Um, it is a borrowed name, I think, because it means Naganahira is eastern, Nagas is
Hmm.
snakes, or if you say vipers, it's eastern vipers. So wasn't there a team Southern Vipers, right?
There's also
In
Desert
the
Vipers.
Yeah, Southern
Kia
Vipers. Yeah.
Super League. Yeah, so
Hmm.
just because it's one that like has stuck in people's minds, I think it's a good one.
Hmm. Look away, Bangladesh fans. No, I really like that one. I think that's your best pick thus far.
Yeah, that was a good one. That's yeah, it is a team I remember actually. It's one of those. I don't know if I would have had it on this list, but it's possible because I couldn't pronounce the first word.
Naganahira, is it?
Naganahira. Naganahira.
Yeah, I was
Close, very close.
pretty much there.
I am.
Now you've got 2 picks.
I do have 2 picks, don't I? Oh, well, that's easy. All right, I'm going to go simple as anything. St. Lucia Zooks.
Ooh.
I still can't believe they managed to go that long without that name after being the St. Lucia Zooks. And I remember I worked for them and I was literally saying to the owner, there's another team called the Stars. This is silly. Let's go back to the Zooks. And I think, I know we're going to have to.
Now they're the St. Lucia Kings.
Yeah, which is also bad.
Which is terrible.
Let's see if I can find it. Zooks, St. Lucia. I think it's a bird this time.
It looks like a lion. Oh no, that's St. Lucia Kings, right?
Yeah, St. Lucia Zooks. I think it was a bird. I did look it up once, many, many years ago. But again, it just feels like a thing that is part of St. Lucia culture. It's not something that's widely known around the world. It's a cool word. It's better than Stars. It's better than Kings. It's better than all the other options that they've gone with since. So I'm a big fan of that. And then I will go. I'm going to go the Kolkata Knight Riders.
Yeah, that was on my list. And you could have gone with any Knight Riders because I feel like it's the Knight Rider part that makes it a cool looking name, isn't it?
Yeah, so I love this because clearly the person who was involved with this was a big fan of the David Hasselhoff.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so ridiculous that you've named your franchise after Knight Riders for no reason. But I played in an indoor cricket team, which was called I can't remember what we were. We were like the South London Knight Riders. And we had David Hasselhoff on our cricket shirts. And so from the moment the Knight Riders existed, it was always, I mean, I love making fun of it, but I also love the fact it is so random that it's like, it doesn't sound like a cigarette company, right? It's so random where you're just like, great. And now they've made it into a thing.
It's a proper brand now.
Yeah. So well done to them for making that work. It's ridiculous. It's silly. It's stupid. And I love it.
There had to be, I mean, it was on my list. What about you, Estelle? Did you have Knight Riders?
I didn't have any of the Knight Riders.
Ooh, interesting.
But
I mean, even the original logo of the burning helmet, the gladiator helmet, was pretty cool. I don't know why they changed that. But it's one of those names that the first time you hear it, it just sticks with you.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It works on that level. It's alliterative, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, like the multiple terms being rhyming. Like, it kind of either works with you or it doesn't. But yeah, I think it works.
Yeah. All right. Are you done with both?
yes.
Yeah, that was St. Lucia's Dukes and Kolkata Knight Riders.
Okay, that means we're back to Estelle.
Okay, I'll go with another IPL team. Delhi Daredevils before they became the Capitals. I thought that was a good name.
You guys have taken both the fun IPL team names.
So that was the other one I was going to do, but for the same reason of like, so someone has seen a comic book with Daredevil on the front one side, and it's like, you do know Daredevil's blind, right? Not your ideal T20 cricketer, Daredevil, a lawyer from New York who's blind. But I thought it was funny. Do you remember they had the press conference when they changed it to the Capitals? And the first question at the press conference was, isn't there just one capital? And the guy's like, no, we're the Capitals. It's like, yeah, but there's one. Delhi is the capital. It's the Delhi capital. So you're not really capitals. And there was this long pause of, so we've changed our name to the Delhi capital. And look, Daredevils was probably wrong and right at the same time, and it probably doesn't quite fit as well as the Night Riders does.
It really went well with Delhi, right?
Yeah.
DD, and even the jersey was red and black.
Yeah.
It was very Daredevil.
Red and blue, wasn't it?
Original one was red and black, no? The very first one, I believe. And I think I was talking about this on a different podcast as well when we were doing IPL podcast for Pro Sports, and we were like, why would you ever change your name from the Delhi Daredevils? One of the most, or the coolest sounding names in all of franchise T20s, and you just go ahead and change it with capitals.
I actually remember when, I can't remember, it was one of the American teams that had the Native American name, right? And they would change here. And like this right-wing commentator was like, I think they changed it to like the Guardians, Cleveland Guardians, I think they were. He's like, that's the silliest name in all sports. I went, mate, you do not want to unpick at this. If you go through the names of professional sporting teams, you will realize just how stupid each and every one of them is. Like, you have a team called the LA Lakers who have no lakes, right? The Denver Nuggets, great, it's about gold, but to everyone else, it's about chicken. Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? There is no sporting team in the world that doesn't have a nickname that isn't stupid. Oh, the Bees. What? Who wants to be a football team known as the Bees, you idiots, right? So I think if you really unpack that, you realize how stupid they all are. So once you've committed to Daredevils, I don't get the idea of undaredeviling yourself for a more boring name.
Also, there are capitals in another league, right?
I think it's a baseball team.
Yeah. There are some other capitals.
Yeah.
So it was a borrowed name as well, whereas I can't think of any other Daredevils.
There cannot be another Daredevil.
Yeah. And there is no Daredevil anymore, which is really, really sad. But that's why we have Crickpicks, right? To bring it back from the dead. Okay, so who is it now?
You.
Is it Jarrod?
I think it's you, right?
It's me. I'm just finishing up now, right? My final two picks. So I will go with my other PSL team name now. I'm going to go Lahore Qalandars. And maybe you guys are not aware of what that word means. But basically, Sufism is a branch within like Islam, which are like the mystics and the chilled out dervishes, right?
Yeah.
And Qalandar is kind of a synonym for the word dervish. Even if you look at the Lahore Qalandars emblem, there is that guy kind of doing the dance with the big hat or whatever. And Lahore has a history with Sufism, right? And there was this one really famous saint called Lal Shehbaz Qalandar. So it's a word that has its roots deeply entrenched in the area and in Pakistan. And that's what I like. Like, I don't like Karachi Kings or Quetta Gladiators. Those names make no sense to me. Whereas the Lahore Qalandars, even if every white or foreign commentator butchers that word, calling it calendars, right? I feel like it's very, very unique. There isn't any other name like it. And they always make bangers when it comes to like theme songs. It's always very, some beats that get the crowd really going. And you find them at times cringe, but you want to kind of sing along, if that makes any sense.
Qalandars.
Yeah, Qalandars.
It's a shit word.
Yeah, I mean, I just...
That would be my issue with the name. I don't know how Estelle feels, but for me, it's just a shit word. Like, if you're going to do it, it needs to be a good word. Sultan, good word.
Yeah.
Don't know about the rhyming, but the word is good. Qalandars, it sounds like an app that someone made that never worked. And they're like, it's going to be like a calendar, but with a Q.
A mystic calendar.
Yeah, so it's not for me. Estelle?
I like it again. I think it's probably it's possibly to do with like the pronunciations being a bit familiar, right? So
I guess
that was the other team.
I mean, I just like the meaning behind it.
That was the other team from PSL that I also had in my long list.
Interesting. Yeah. I like the whole Sufi element of this name, and it's something that I've actually also studied a bit, not as much, but I've read a few books on it. So I like the fact that they touched on that part of Pakistan or the culture. Anyway, final pick for me. Yes. And I am confused because there are so many names on my sheet, but I feel like I've got to go CPL for this one. Okay. Guyana Amazon Warriors is my final pick. I'm not sure how you guys feel about it. Jarrod just kind of laughed over here.
No, it's a great name.
Yeah. It's also like Guyana has the Amazon rainforest inside of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you throw an Amazon into any team name and it kind of gives it like a bit more spunk.
It's funny you say spunk, because I was just going to say the problem with it is that it just sounds a little bit like a softcore porn movie.
Could have been that.
There's something about it. It just sounds like in 1980, some random woman had to go and do a film called The Amazon Warriors. That's the problem with it. It doesn't quite flow perfectly. It's perfect for Guyana, right? But there's something about the Amazon Warriors. Like if they were called the Guyana Amazons, all right, or the Amazonians or whatever, I'd be like, fine.
It wouldn't be as fun.
But you put the Warriors on the end, and it just sounds a little bit like a really bad video game that I've never played. I like it though. It's certainly not a bad name.
Yeah, I like the way it kind of flows off the tongue when you say the entirety of it. Guyana Amazon Warriors, and now I definitely see the softball side of it. Yeah. So you're not wrong over there.
Me, right? Last one.
Yes, it is you.
When you said CPL, I was like, oh no, he's going to pick the one I want to pick. But fortunately, you didn't. So I'll go with the Jamaica Strongest. I think
that's a nice one.
That one is also kind of native, right? To Jamaica, like the meaning of the word is, I think, strong.
Yes.
So it's kind of relevant to the teams, like we mentioned before, rather than have like kings or giants or something like that. I like it, and it's if I'm not mistaken, it's stuck around for a while, right? Because they do have the tendency in the CPL to switch around with the names. So this one's stuck.
I think it might be a franchise which is in its last year or something, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I remember we even uncovered this or something. I might be wrong. Maybe I'm mixing it up with another franchise. So correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comment section below. But I had this on my long list as well. And that's literally what I did, Estelle. When I was, thinking of team names, I was like, I need to know what it means. Like, what is Talawaz? And it was like the native word in Jamaica for strong. And I just like that whole concept. And the alligator is fantastic.
Well, I thought it was the alligator. I just looked it up now. That's what I've been doing. Because I was like, when she said it was strong, I was like, oh, I thought it was an alligator that they had in Jamaica. No, that's a much better. I've always liked it. Again, I don't know if it's a great word, but I think it's one of the stronger brandings.
Yeah.
In small teams like that in Multan Sultans. I just don't think you're going to forget those team names as much as you might for others. So I think that's a very, very good one. It would be a shame if it disappeared. As well. All right. Wow. Okay.
Finishing up now.
I want to know if I want to go with the most ridiculous one that was actually, as far as I'm aware, the only politically incorrect one that was overturned. Or if I want to go with, okay, I'm going to go through my list.
Okay.
As I'm last, right?
Yeah.
So, Silcott Stallions.
Yes.
Does Silcott have anything to do with stallions?
No, nothing. But it's just, again, it's a great word to say out loud. Silcott Stallions. And I feel like if Silcott ever gets a team in the PSL, they should just go with Stallions.
And Jaffna was Stallions as well, right?
Yes.
That doesn't sound as good with Jaffna. I've got the Otago Volts.
You mentioned that prior.
Which I mentioned before, which I am a big fan of. The Dhaka Platoon. Which I think the Dhaka franchise, if I'm not mistaken, in the BPL has changed names.
Like 5 times?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. How many different names I've had.
They were Dynamites,
I don't know if
right?
Platoon really...
Yeah. Gladiators?
Yeah, they've been everything. I think Platoon was probably their best one, and they moved on from it too early. And the other one I want to mention here, or Deccan Chargers.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I always really like Deccan Chargers. But Kochi Tuskers.
Yes.
Absolutely perfect. Yeah. The problem with that is that there's a word on the end, and it's the Kochi Tuskers Kerala.
Yeah.
If you take the Kerala away, Kochi Tuskers is perfect. The minute you put the state name in at the end, you've got that thing where you've got 2 words and a nickname in the middle, and it doesn't work perfectly. So I'm going to say no to them. I am going to go with the Middlesex Crusaders.
Okay.
Because as far as I'm aware, they are the only team who had to change their name for being offensive. So Middlesex picked Crusaders, and they got letters of complaint straight away. And if you're Middlesex, I'm not even sure you need a nickname. You're just Middlesex. Like, everyone just knows Middlesex. It's such a weird thing to do. And it gets better. Because remember I said before that the Washington Bullets became the Washington Wizards. The Middlesex Crusaders became the Middlesex Panthers. What? That's crap. That
because they're pink, so they're the Pink Panthers?
I would assume that's the only reason they did it. But come on. So I'm going to go Middlesex Crusaders because of the fact that it was the least socially acceptable name that you could have in cricket. specifically, and go with that one. Not very well known. I don't even know if they actually finished a whole season as the Middlesex Crusaders. It is very possible that they didn't even finish the season because they got complaints. But the thing I remember is they changed the name and they apologized to everyone. But then they said, we had 2 complaints. And I did remember thinking at the time going, that's not a lot of complaints. You would get 2 complaints on, like the Delhi Capitals probably got more complaints when they changed their name, right? And I did think at the time, you're right to change your name because that's a stupid name. But you're wrong to pick the Panthers, and you're probably wrong to worry about it when you've had 2 complaints and then make a big deal out of it. They didn't even need to tell us. Who the hell even knew they were the Crusaders?
I think we get more complaints on Crickpicks than that, right? On each episode.
Yeah, we get complaints on Crickpicks all the time.
I will get more complaints for picking the Middlesex Crusaders.
People will be complaining in the comments section for me picking 2 Pakistan teams, 100%. I can bet my bottom dollar on it.
You did pick 2 Pakistan.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, but you didn't get the best ones. So, anyways, you didn't go. All right, let's go through our list. Estelle, the Seattle Orcas. It's Pokhara, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pokhara Rhinos. Rhinos? Suresh Rhinos.
Yeah. Pokhara Sureshes.
Someone should call themselves the I don't know, the
Kohlis.
The Dubai Tendulkars.
But Kohlis would make sense, right? Because Kohli means chicken in Tamil.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Do you want to call yourself a chicken? Naganira Nagas. Did I get that right? Naganahira Nagas. I can't. To be fair, it's very small font over there.
That is quite small font.
Actually made it bigger. Now I just realised that all the way through I could have just done that.
Yep.
Naganahira Nuggets. I can read it now. Delhi Daredevils and Jamaica Talawallas. Behram went San Francisco Unicorns, Multan Sultans, Washington Freedom, Lahore Qalandars, and Guyana Amazon Warriors. And I went Lahore Badshahs, Antigua Hawksbills, St. Lucia Zooks, Kolkata Knight Riders, and the Middlesex Crusaders.
Tough competition. I can see that anyone could really win this. But what other team names did you guys have on your long list? I know, Jarrod, you mentioned yours.
I think I've pretty much gone through the majority of my list. Yeah.
I had Sialkot Stallions as well.
Yeah.
Of course, Kolkata Knight Riders and Delhi Daredevils were both on my list, but you guys took them, so I didn't have that opportunity to pick them. I had Peshawar Zalmi. It means youth in the local language, so I like that bit. I had Perth Scorchers. I like that one.
It is hot in Perth, to be fair.
Yeah, and I mean, Scorchers is just a fun name.
Right? Also, Scorcher, I don't know.
I also had Desert Vipers. I like that
There's
name.
nothing wrong with the Desert Vipers. It's just that no one gives a shit about that team.
Yeah, that's also true. Sussex Sharks, I believe, is a really underrated team name.
Yeah, I wonder how many sharks they get in Sussex.
I mean, Brighton must have some sharks, right?
Well, okay.
Yeah, maybe the gentle ones.
No cool sharks.
Yeah, no cool sharks, that's for sure. And then one team that I really, if I had one more to pick, I would have picked this team, the Nottinghamshire Outlaws. The Criminals!
Yeah. So that's obviously because they couldn't call themselves the Robin Hoods or something, could they? So they changed it. I actually, from the 100 point of view, I don't mind Trentbridge Rockets.
Yeah, London Spirit is an interesting one as well.
Because the spirit of cricket. I like Oval Invincibles.
Yeah,
Oval Invincibles wasn't miles away from me.
Yeah.
I just didn't love it. And I looked up some of the women's names. The women's names weren't as good as I was hoping, Estelle. I don't know if you had any.
And a lot of the teams kind of share the names, right? So, I mean, all the BBL teams are the same.
What's the Canterbury women have a different name, I think. But I've already used the Canterbury women on a show episode. But yeah, a lot of them don't have different names. I was a bit disappointed with the women. Have you got any others on your list that you didn't use?
Not from the women's teams, but I had Pal Rocks. It's quite a mountainous area, right, Pal? So I assume that makes sense.
Isn't it? Aren't they the Pal Royals?
Yeah.
This is from the, I can't say the name.
Original?
The Mansi
South
Super
Africa,
League.
Mzansi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. There was a Pal Rocks.
Yeah.
I worked for Edinburgh Rocks, by the way. That league never happened, so I don't know if I can claim that name. But so there's been 2 Rocks, hasn't there?
So
Pal Rocks is good, but it does sound like a music festival I wouldn't want to go to.
Welsh Fire is another one.
Or like some sort of drug that you shouldn't be having. Got to try the Pal Rocks.
Welsh Fire and Southern Vipers. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Welsh Fire.
Southern Vipers is not bad, but I mean, the Nagas is just better, isn't it?
Yeah,
Nagas is a step up.
that is such a beautiful name. I feel like that name might win you this. Naganahira Nagas. Wow.
Yeah. So remember, tell us what you like in the comments. And also, if you've got any other ideas for Crickpicks episodes, we're always willing to take your ideas and then come up with the answers that you don't like.
Also, tell us which teams we missed and which teams would you have picked had you had the opportunity to take part in the draft.
I felt like there's a lot of, it wasn't the easiest thing to come up with like a list of the names.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like with some of these things, we'll come up with the idea and you just Google it and you come up with a list. It's like, no one's really done this one before. So I found it really hard to find the names. And like I had to go through, I was like, I've got a feeling there was a team called Platoon. I couldn't remember where they were from.
There was Rawalpindi Rams as well back in the day.
So I don't know how this happened, but someone was printing T-shirts. I might have them upstairs. And I've got a Silcott Stallions, Rawalpindi Rams, I'm going to say Lahore Dolphins.
Karachi Dolphins.
Karachi Dolphins.
Yeah.
Who was the Lahore team?
Lions.
Like I've got all these. Someone made like alternative logos for them all, and I've got such an affection for that league, despite the fact I never saw a ball of
it. Yeah, Karachi Dolphins was actually also a pretty good name. Now that I can't think of it. But anyway, you guys let us know which ones we missed and which ones you would have picked, and also just a quick reminder for everybody that you can go to goodareas.co and bookmark that webpage, which can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the work that we do as part of this team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. We'll be back with another episode of Crickpicks next week. That is all for now.
If you make any content, Minvo Pro is the tool for you. Take your long format content and cut it and slice it for social media. This AI-inspired weapon will turn your one piece of work into so many clips. Try Minvo.pro now.